the Neckbeard 2. What I liked about it is that board was carrying so much speed with its wider tail block. I could be real creative, get the tail free, spin reverses, and like if I were to ride an air board and work on airs, that would be the board of choice even today. And Aaron and I were talking, it's like, I pulled the board out, showed it to Aaron, and Aaron's like, that board doesn't look like it's gonna go at all. And from the second I stepped on it, the first thing I said is, this board's fast and loose. And I feel like that's what we all wanna feel, as long as fast and loose has drive to get down the line. That board never let me down speed-wise. And I rode it in well overhead surf and put it in some really critical sections. It had the drive, it had the speed, and the board was explosive. And I feel like, man, how did I look at that board and think that it wasn't gonna surf well, because I've never ridden a tail like that before. Hey guys, welcome to Surf and Show. I'm Noel Salas. Today's surf tip is picking the right board for you. How to grab a board, what does it feel like, what should it feel like underfoot? I'm gonna let you guys into my process. What it feels like when I pick up a board, what I'm looking for, what I expect out of a board, and then maybe even tell you how I articulate what I'm feeling from the very first wave, how some boards have caught me off guard and completely surprised me on how they ride. This is gonna be fun. Sit back, get your favorite drink, enjoy the show. Now, one of the first places I wanna start is it can be pretty overwhelming trying to pick the right board that you're gonna surf on. I think we need to identify the category. I say we start with a small wave performance board, daily driver with a high performance or a performance outline. Now, the reason I say that is because I feel like whether I'm living in Southern California, surfing a wave pool, I feel like, speaking to our community, this would be the board that I would ride 95% of the time. So I wanna talk about maybe head high waves and below, and what I grew up surfing most of the time in Southern California are waves that I had to generate my own speed on. So that's why I want to pick this board category. Now I want you guys to imagine with me, and I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. All these boards on the rack here, let's just imagine that's a surf shop. How do we grab one of these boards and feel it out a little bit? Let's say you've done some research online, or some of your favorite surfers are riding a particular board that you're considering. And I get this question from you guys all the time. How do I pick a board? One of the boards on my radar that I want to talk to you guys about is the Hayden Shape Holy Hip Toe. So when this board came in, right off the bat, I put it under my arm, and what am I feeling? Okay, I can feel the rail, and it has kind of a performance rail. It has a little bit lower apex where the rail's kind of tucked a little bit lower. When I shake it, it's more about like not only what it feels like, but the weight of the construction, right? I love the Future Flex technology. I like the carbon on the rails. I want that board rebounding as fast as possible. So I get excited about boards when they come in different constructions. Now that I live here in Texas, and the place that I'm board testing most of the time is at Waco, special constructions like Future Flex is what I like best over a PU Poly, which I would be riding in the ocean on waves that were head high and over. Okay, so I'm letting you into my process. It's pretty rare for me to start checking out what the bottom contours are. I usually don't do that until the end of the review. However, at the wave pool, I have a tendency to start with a twin plus trailer. I'm getting maximum drive from the side fins. I've got the small stabilizer in the back to not only stabilize the board, but give me something to pivot off of. Now, when this board first came in, I had to get over some hurdles. And the hurdles for me is really about the tail shape design, right? So it's not just a round tail. It's a round pintail. And I'm thinking, I don't even think I would ever put this board in the pool in general. Why? My experience with round pintails is they're very stable, they have lots of drive, lots of hold, and I like them best in waves that are well overhead, that might have a lot of push or power, or even waves that have a lot of curve to them. They offer that kind of hold. So when the board came in, I wasn't super excited, to be honest with you. This type of tail wants to do more of a carve. It wants to carve and hold. It wants to give me speed through turns for roundhouses. So there's certain things that I love about a round pin. However, my experience for all the board testing I've done over the years on a round pintail, they can be a little bit more difficult to surf more vertical. Now, I'm not saying that they can't get vertical. I'm saying it takes more out of me. I have to do more of a purposeful looping bottom turn at a wave in the ocean to come at it more, to get more straight up. So this, in my mind, is a problem already for me to hit this board in the pool and say this would be a good board to review there. So I'm letting you into the process. I took this board into the pool right away, twin plus trailer. I want it loose. I want it responsive. This will help me get it more vertical quicker. And it did. Actually, I would say this board surfed the pool super vertical compared to most other boards that fit the description of this performance outline with a similar rocker. But the other boards that I've been riding at Waco that I like have different tail shapes. Squash, swallow, even like a chop tail like on the Neckbeard 2. So this board caught me by surprise. Why are we doing this episode? Because we can't think that every board's gonna ride exactly the way we had one like this way back then. So this is super important. As I ride the board and it starts to work in a way that is uncommon to me, the next thing is, man, it felt good with twin plus trailer. Then it has 5 boxes. Now I put in a quad. Now I even have more drive. It's still pivoting good. And this little rounded pin tail right here is even giving it more stability. So I talk about a quad having a little bit of that release at the peak of a turn. Well, this little point right here is going to stabilize that. These are all the nuances that I'm articulating and feeling, and I just got super drawn to this board. And this board kind of broke the mold for me on, can a rounded pintail actually be fun in head high and below surf, or even go at the pool? I liked it as a twin plus trailer, quad, and thruster. This board blew my mind. Now I want to talk about 2 boards that have almost the exact same outline, same tail shape, and you guys ask me all the time, what's the difference between those 2 boards and why? And I want to talk about that. Let me put this board back. Now I want to talk about these 2 boards right here. This is the Sharpeye Inferno 72. This is a quad. And this is the Chili Hot Knife 2 with 3 boxes. And if you look at them, they're almost identical in shape, right? I didn't measure the width of the nose, but overall, it has the same swallowtail. There's no bump or wing here. And they're both stringerless EPS epoxy constructions with similar carbon top and bottom. If I were to take one and let's say grabbing this Chili Hot Knife 2, now I just started riding this board at Waco and started with the twin plus trailer. This is the go-to setup. If it has 3 boxes, this is probably where I'm gonna start. Why? I want the drive, I want the pivot. The board feels great. One of the things I'll say about it is it's 5.5. I would say the rail has a performance rail. It might be a tad full, but it's not a flat deck or anything like that. And these are the kind of things that I'm doing when I look at it. I'm looking at the rocker. On the bottom, I might feel the bottom a little bit when the board first comes in. Now, you guys ask me all this all the time. Hot Knife 2, Sharpeye Inferno FT, same outline. Do they surf the same? Okay, this only has 3 boxes, so I can run it twin plus trailer, or I can run it as a thruster. And let's say I want this board to feel a particular way. Let's take Waco, for example. I want to get quick pivot. I want to get into the lip real quick. So now I have fin options. So twin plus trailer is where I started, but if I want to ride a thruster and I want to get into the lip real quick, I might go with a large pivot fin. Now, if I go with a large pivot fin, I'm going to get pivot but I might lack a little bit of drive. Remember, this board's 5.5, and the more rail line I have, the more drive I have. If I want more drive and more squirt off the bottom, I can go from a pivot thruster set to a neutral template set. So now it's the best of both carve and pivot. And I've even had my experience with boards at Waco where I go with a rake template that has a lot of drive. The board's super loose, and that's going to stabilize it, and I'm getting the drive, and I still have the pivot because I'm using a smaller center fin. So there are so many options and ways to manipulate a board to get it to feel the way you want it to feel. This board's 5.6. I would say this board suits more of the higher performance shortboard category. However, because we shrunk it down to 5.6 instead of the stock dimensions being 5.8 or 5.9, and the type of rocker it has, I've actually made it more of a daily driver because of its size. And one of the things that I would say that's different about this board and why I put it into the high performance shortboard category is because it has a bit more tail rocker compared to the Hot Knife 2 or other boards that fit in this category. Boards that fit into this category, daily drivers, small weight performance boards, overall have a wider nose and a wider tail than a typical high performance shortboard, which is going to make them better paddlers. And boards that have less overall rocker are going to have quick get up and go speed and a little bit more glide down the line compared to a high performance shortboard. Remember, high performance shortboards with a lot of rocker in them is what you're seeing most of the guys on the championship tour ride. They get a lot of speed going rail to rail. So if you're good at using your rails like the pros are, those boards you can get them to squirt all the time, but they don't like to sit idle and have their own glide down the line. Now, I talk about that because if this is in the high performance shortboard category, because of its rocker, I typically wouldn't put a board like this at Waco. And I would only ride it in the ocean if it was head high and bigger. Why? Because of the rocker. Because the rocker is going to help me have traction at high speeds. Okay, when we put this board in the high performance shortboard category, but it's carrying daily driver speed, it's because of the quad setup. Quads are faster. I've got twice the base to push off of, more drive. There's no center fin, so it has less drag. And what this board would lack in the glide and speed department as a thruster, I felt like it got that added back because Marcio and Felipe chose to make it a quad. So if you're not a quad guy, but you want the traction and you want the speed, these are the things that separate this board design and outline plus rocker compared to the Hot Knife 2. So the basis of this particular episode is to not judge the book by its cover. Each board continuously rides completely different. You got to remember, I've ridden well over 200 boards, reviewed more than 130 or 140 episodes where I'm riding different boards, but some of them have the same outline, but I can't say that this rides exactly like that board over there. There are similarities, but each board is separate and as it's like its own individual feel underfoot. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you're looking for a new board, identify the category, get your hands on one, go down to your local surf shop, check out and see if we've done a review on it. I think you guys will be stoked to mess with fins. If you don't have a fin quiver, start building one so that way you'll have a better experience on the boards that you pick. Look, if you like the show, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and give us a thumbs up if you like our content. Until next time, we'll see you in the water. Bye-bye.